The story begins with two boys slowly making their way toward the entrance of the cafeteria, while one of them is trying to stop the other by telling him that he will get hurt and asking him what he will do if he is mistaken. We see them spying on Kim-soo and his minions, one of whom offers Kim a cigarette and then starts smoking while the boy continues that a guy is coming out of prison soon, at which Kim-soo says that he should have screwed up that guy a long time ago. Meanwhile, one of the two boys who were spying on them declared that he had to check it out. It has been said that school is a space for educating young students to become decent members of society. However, it smelled of violence and crime. Bullies used to educate others directly about the bad habits that they had learned. So what the fuck does this learning space actually teach? This place has become a little political arena. The students who are labeled as school fists are not just at the top of the list. They are also a group that does not get bullied. They stand at the top just because they can hit a little better than the others. Kim-soo is one of them who hits anyone who he does not like. They are not much different from daily life, where they are way too strong for the weak. Namgil, a freshman at Daemyeong School, determines that his test target today is to be competent in the hallway. He sees Kim-soo bullying others and contemplates that these kinds of guys are the same no matter where you go. And at least from his understanding, the laws of bullies always hold true. He walks straight towards Kim-soo and recalls the law of the bully, which is that the soldiers of a bully are his pride. He bumps his shoulder into Kim-soo's shoulder and recalls the law of the bully too. If you touch their pride, then they will start punching. As he bumped into Kim-soo, he started cursing him and threw a punch at him, which he dodged by leaning backward. His friend, watching this while hiding beside a wall, was surprised at this. After dodging, Namgil apologizes to Kim-soo, saying that he was spacing out and then accidentally bumped into him. He then puts his hand on his shoulder and says that he has not seen him for a year, so how has he been? Kim-soo curses him while saying that it has indeed been a long time. So what the hell is he doing here? The law of the bully 3 states that anyone easygoing should crawl under the bully's feet. Just then, one of their friends, Kim-soo, tells him to don't fight with this bastard and that they should get going. Kim-soo shook off his hand and threw a punch at Namgil while shouting that he was pissing him off. Namgil dodges it and asks him if he has an anger problem. Kim-soo was embarrassed at this and went right at Namgi with a jab. But to his surprise, Namgi simply caught his hand and asked him if he did not know how to say nice things and could only throw punches at people and take pride in beating up weak people while pretending to be strong. He continues that he is an ignorant bastard and knocks him out with a right hook while recalling the law of the bully 4 that a bully cannot pull himself together until he gets beaten. Upon witnessing this, the guy with Kim-soo also rushed towards Namgi, who avoided the first guy and punched the other guy straight in the face while ducking to avoid his fist. Then, as the first guy tried to grab him in a hold, he crouched, hit his abdomen with his elbow, and then threw him on the ground. By then, Kim-soo has already gotten up and is running straight at him again, but Namgi blocks his fist, jabs him in the face, and then quickly gets behind him and gives him a German suplex on the hard cement floor of the hallway. All the students were surprised by this, and Namgi simply said that while looking down on Kim-soo and his friends, he does not understand why the assailants sleep with their feet out and victims like him always have to hold their breath, they have to suffer, they have to run away, they shake in fairness, and isn't this so unfair? Kim-soo keeps cursing him, and then he sees a wooden mop, so he tries to pick it up and goes at Namgi again, who then recalls the law of the bully 5, which says that a bully is ugly to the end. Upon seeing Kim-soo come at him with a wooden mop, Namjae Kami says that it is a weapon, and if something goes wrong, then he will die. He then simply dodges his attack and punches him straight in the face, which causes his nose to start bleeding, and Kim-soo falls to the ground. After that, Namgil tells Kim-soo that he is just like them, and so he is going to change him to the very nook and cranny of his rotten roots. After all this, he asks his friend Haben to go to the snack bar with him. Namgi witnesses himself to be in a room with several other men, and he asks if it is still working. One of the men responds that he cannot seem to get it. Then he panics because of the heavy banging at the door, and suddenly the door breaks open and lots of thugs with baseball bats come rushing in, and he starts fighting them. Then he gets a call, and as he is talking on the phone, a man shoots him in the back. We see him wake up surprised, then realize that it was just a dream, and he recalls that he has seen this dream many times before. He recalls that it started a year ago when one day he woke up and then asked his mom why she did not wake him up, as he told her to wake him up at 8. His mom replied that she shook him for 5 minutes, but he still did not wake up. She asked him if he was forgetting something, to which he replied that he was not, and then his mom started beating him, saying that he should be more attentive and what if he left his medicines behind. Namgil recalls that it was unusually warm that day, and he tried to sneak into the class, but the teacher caught him and asked him why he was late on the first day of school. But to Namgil's surprise, the teacher said that since it was the first day, he would let it go, but he should not be late anymore. Namgil sat next to Habin, who ignored him as he was trying to talk with him. The teacher then told them more about their new school, Daemyeong High School, called it a shit school, introduced himself as their homeroom teacher of the year, and told them not to get into any trouble. As Namgil is thinking that he is smelling cigarettes somewhere around, just then a boy comes next to him and grabs Habin and tells him that he is surprised that he is in the same grade and class as him and tells him to take care of his bread and allowance for this year. Then he turned around to Namgil and told him he was seeing him for the first time, so they should get along for this year, and he introduced himself as Cha Sung-tak. Cha Sung then walked out of the classroom and called his friend Ong Sang-ki and asked him which class he was in and that he was in the same class as Habin, so they did not need to worry about the price of cigarettes, PC room, and alcohol. Sang was also happy to hear it. During break time, Namgil sees that Habin is eating alone, so he sits next to him and tells him that since they are partners, they should have lunch together as he does not have anyone else to eat with. Habin gets up and tells him that he will go first. Namgil asks him if he is done already, to which he replies that he should not hang out with him because if he does, then he will also get in trouble. He started walking towards the exit, but as he was walking, a boy tripped him, and he fell over. Cha Sung shouted at him that he had dirted his uniform, then abused him and started beating him up while cursing him. Seeing this, Namgil gets up and runs over to him while telling him that it is too much and he should stop, but it seems like Cha Sung was waiting for this, and he immediately kicks Namgil in the stomach and tells him that he will have to pay for his laundry fee, which is 300,000 won until next Monday, so he should not be late, and if he feels pressured, he can go and collect it with Habin. He then gets up while calling his glasses and asks what his name is, but then tells him to forget about it and tells him that he is his bank from this day onwards. Cha Sung's friend tells him that it is a perfect idea for pocket money. Habin thought that he got Namgil in trouble as well, and Namgil walked up to him and told him they should go to the bathroom as their uniforms were dirty. Just then, he suddenly felt a lot of pain, so he grabbed his stomach. Habin got worried and asked if he was alright. He replied that he was okay and thought that it was hurting a lot more than he thought, and then he took out a medicine and ate it. As he was eating the medicine, a tall boy bumped into him from behind and told him to get out of the way. Namgil immediately stepped aside and wondered if this boy was a high school student, as he was already 190 centimeters tall. The tall guy started waking up in the hallway while shouting that traffic control had started. He went into a classroom and said that if there was a good guy, then they should go out of the classroom. One of the thugs was looking for him, but the giant guy punched him straight in the face and knocked him out. Then he went to class 9, and the punks there were surprised that an idiot had opened doors this hard, so he walked up to them and started beating the guy in front. The other thugs shouted that they should attack him once, and the giant simply grabbed the two boys, picked them up, and threw them on the floor. Another boy who was trying to hit him with a chair was kicked away. The giant then goes into class 8 and abuses the thugs there, who ask if he is crazy and if he does not know who they are, but before they can say anything else, they are all beaten up by the giant. The other students were recording this from the hallway. The giant repeated the same thing in class 7, then in classes 6 and 5, and then he went inside class 4 and said that it does not matter who you are, but if you are a good boy, then you should get out of there. He then announces that if anyone wants to fight, then they should come forward. Otherwise, this class is his shuttle, but a blonde guy calls him to the roof while saying that this is annoying. On the roof, the blonde boy asks the giant if his name is Pyo Sung-jun, and then asks him why he is so shirtless on the first day of school. And then it continues on that in this school there are mostly thugs, so he should not act like this. But the giant simply rushes towards him, shouting that it seems like he is confident in taking him on. The blonde boy replies that he should see for himself if he is confident or not. The blonde boy avoids the giant's fists and punches him in the stomach, then avoids him again, hits him in the face, and then rushes down a ton of punches at him. All the students were surprised at this, as the giant was falling behind. Kwangho and his friends were also seeing this, and one of his friends said that this guy was good at it and wondered who was going to win. The other guy says that it does not matter who wins, and that Kwang is an idiot, and then asks if they should wipe them all out here. Kwang argues that one side is too overwhelming. One of the boys said that there is always something wrong with fighting, but it's not a difference that he can change. And as they were talking, we saw that the giant was still getting punched by the blonde boy. News spread in all the classes that there was a fight going on the roof, so Namgil also came to the roof to see it, and to his surprise, the giant that he bumped into in the cafeteria was getting overpowered by a blonde boy who was nearly Namgil's size. Kwangho and his friend were still debating who was going to win. His blue-haired friend said that the blonde-haired boy was going to win because he was avoiding it all and hitting him continuously, while Kwangho told him that the blonde-haired guy had been at a disadvantage since the beginning of the fight, as the giant only needed one hit and he would win. We see the giant fall on his knees, and the blue-haired guy tells Kwangho that he should have made a bet. Upon seeing the giant on his knees, the blonde guy starts mocking him, but the giant suddenly tackles him, saying how could he think that it was over and telling him that he let his guard down. After putting the blonde boy on the floor, the giant punched him in the face, knocked him unconscious, and then began to walk away. Just then, Kwangho starts asking his blue-haired friend for 50,000 won, who tells him that he did not make a bet. Kwangho tells him to make a bet now, to which he replies that he cannot make a bet after it is all over. A week has passed since that incident, and Namgil is changing his clothes in the washroom for the PE class. Just then, Cha-sung comes looking for him and asks if he has brought the money, to which he replies that he did not, as he does not have the money. Cha-sung tells him that if he did not have money, he should have made and brought it, or he could have saved it together with Haben. Namgil starts crying and asks why he is doing this to him, as he has made him and Haben a mockery for this past week, and he would beat them whenever there were spectators around. Cha-sung became angry at this and started beating him up. Just then, we see Kwangho enter the washroom with the giant and the blonde boy and ask Cha-sung what he is doing. Cha-sung tells him that he is just in time and tells Namgil to say hi to his friends. Namgil is surprised to see them together, and he wonders what happened in the last week. In a flashback, we see that the blonde boy is in his class when the giant appears there, and as they are going to fight again, Kwangho opens the door of the class and says that he is happy to find them both here. He tells them it will be a piece of cake for him, even if it is a 2 versus 1. The blonde boy instantly rushes at him to punch him while cursing him. Kwangho simply catches his fist and tells him that he has seen him on the roof and his punches are not up to the bar, and then proceeds to knock him out in 2 punches. He then rushes towards the giant and beats him as well, and that's how he took control of the school, and no one dared to challenge him. Every bully in the school tried to get close to Kwang, and Cha-sung was no exception. Kwang arrives there and tells Cha-sung to treat his money with care, after which Cha-sung tells Ma-ji that he should be thankful to Kwang as, because of him, he is letting him go today. After a while, we see Cha-sung and his friends looking at pictures of a girl named Yuri. She lived in the same neighborhood as Cha, and he bullied her as well in the past when they were little. As Yusei was walking in the hallway, she saw Cha-sung hitting Namgil with a ball, and as he was continuously doing it, he missed the aim, and the ball hit Yusei. Cha-sung immediately came and apologized to her, saying that he did not mean to hit her. She told him to apologize to Namgil, but as he remembered her face, she tried to put his hand on her shoulder. He did not recognize her at first, but her friend pushed him away. Yusei then asked Namgil if he was okay. Namgil told her that he was okay and he should be the one asking her that, as she was the one who got hurt. Cha-sung left the place but was angry. After a while, as Yusei was telling others that her math homework had been stolen from her bag, Cha-sung walked past her while taking a picture of her skirt. Later, Namgil catches Cha-sung and the other boys in the washroom, seeing that picture. He thinks that this is a crime and is thinking about what he should do, but Cha-sung spots him and Haben then drags him, asks why he is here, and tells him that he just acts like a saint in class but is now showing his true colors. At this, Namgil curses him, saying that he is not trash like them. At this point, they all start beating him, but he is saved as one of the students spots the school president in the hallway. Later that day, the teachers hand out pamphlets to all the students saying that they are holding a survey regarding school bullying. They tell the students that there is no need for them to be afraid, and they should write down the facts if they have seen someone getting bullied or if they know a gang or an individual who does it. The bullies kept staring at everyone, and victims were not the only ones who were afraid of their eyes. In the end, no one wrote anything. During the lunch break, Yuri calls out to Yusei, asking her if she wants to go and eat lunch with her. Yusei replies that she does not have enough money, which Yuri says is going to be her treat, and they both begin walking towards the cafeteria. As they were walking through the hallway, Yuri noticed that some boys were giggling and having fun while pointing at Yusei, so she told her to go ahead and that she would be there in a while as she had forgotten her phone in the classroom. Yuri arrives in the class of those boys and asks them to show the photo on their mobiles, which they were seeing, to which one of the boys replies that it is nothing and she should go back to her class. Yuri tells them that they should show her the mobile if it is nothing, to which one of the boys yells at her. Why is she telling them to do this and that, and does she know who they are? Yuri kicks him in the gut and shouts at them that she does not know who they are, and she does not care about it either, and tells them to just answer her question. She then tells them that it is their last chance to show her what photo is on their mobile, which Cha Sung-tak shot. The boy tells her that he has no idea what she is talking about and tries to hit her, but Yuri punches him in the face and beats him up, then picks up the phone and sees the picture. Her anger knew no bounds after seeing this, and she went straight to Cha Sung-tak, who was sleeping in his class. She threw a chair at him and then punched him in the face. He yells at her, calling her a crazy bitch. Cha Sung-tak shouts at her that he has never liked her before, and it looks like he is still in elementary school while rushing toward Yuri. Yuri simply dodges his fist and kicks him in the stomach, causing him to fall to his knees. She then tells him that it does not look like he is in elementary school anymore, as he is a much bigger scum and trash than he used to be. She asks him if it is fun for him to bully those weaker than him and then asks him if he thinks that what he did to Yusei is a joke. He then grabs his head and kicks him in the face while yelling that it is all a joke now and that what she is going to do is a joke, and keeps asking him if it is fun while beating him up. She then yells at him, saying she cannot forgive what he did to Yusei. All the other students started laughing at Cha Sung-tak, saying that he was getting beaten up by a girl. Yusei arrives in the class and calls out to Yuri and asks her what happened. Yuri thinks to herself that she cannot tell Yusei about it, and then she tells her that she has to go somewhere now and she will have ice cream later. Meanwhile, all the other students started mocking Cha Sung-tak by saying that he was just a weak guy, that they used to be afraid of him for no reason, and that they could easily beat him. Yuri goes to the staff room and tells the math teacher about everything. The teacher then calls Cha Sung-tak to the staff room and tells him that from today he will be subject to disciplinary actions following the committee's summons. He tells him that for the next 30 days, he will need to go to the volunteer site, and after that, he will fill up the front and back of 10 sheets and come back to school every day for an exam. The teacher tells him to reflect on his actions and tells him to get out of the staff room now. Cha Sung makes up his mind that he will get his revenge on Habin, Namgil, and Yuri. Habin and Namgi were on cleaning duty, and once they finished cleaning up the classroom, just then Yusei and Yuri arrived in the class and asked them if they were finished. They tell them that they have finished it, and then they all together go to eat food. As they were all having fun, Habin became sad and told them that it had been a long time since he had a meal with someone like this. And while hesitating, he asked them why they were being nice to him. Yusei tells him that just because he is nice, and why is he trying to find a reason for it? They can just be friends. Yuri tells him that he is so much better than those guys who act like stalkers to Yusei and the bullies like Cha Sung-tak. Habin begins to tear up upon hearing this, seeing him cry. Yusei also starts crying. Yuri immediately tells Habin that he shouldn't cry as Yusei cries when she sees someone else crying, and they should just enjoy the food. Namgi thinks to himself that this is so good. A school that is easy to attend. Friends who have lunch together are just an ordinary routine, but it's not natural, and he realizes it too late. Suddenly, he let out a shout due to the pain that started in his chest. Everyone panicked, and Yuri asked him what was wrong. He calmly replied that they did not have to worry, and his heart used to be weak, and he forgot to take his medicine on time. Yusei tells them that he should visit the hospital, but Namgi tells her not to worry about it. They all went to school under police protection for 1 month, and everything seemed normal. He managed to stay safe because of it, but then he thought that the thing that Cha Sung-tak did with Yusei was clearly a sexual offense. but for some reason no one brought it up later, and because of this they were more afraid, as they cannot be protected by police 24 hours a day. He thinks to himself that they are in constant danger of retaliation whenever policemen are not with them, and one day on their way back after school, late at night, his thoughts became reality as Cha Sung-tak came in front of them with a bunch of boys and blocked their path. Cha Sung-tak asks them how they have been. He tells them to follow him if they don't want to get hurt. Some of the guys noticed the phone in Yusei's hand, took it, and threw it away, saying that there was no need to call the police. Namgil and Habin get surrounded by the boys, and Cha Sung-tak slaps Yuri while calling her a bitch and shouting at her. Why isn't she doing anything now? Yusei got worried at this, but Yuri told her not to worry and to stay behind her. Yuri thinks to herself that this coward cannot do anything by himself, and that is why he came here with these many people. She thinks that even if she wanted to kill him now, she cannot do it as she does not know what is going to happen here, and she cannot ask for help either as she does not have any money. But then she sees some metal rods lying next to her and she decides that she can create a chance for them to run away. Cha Sung-tak slapped her again while she was busy in her thoughts and asked her why she wasn't saying anything now, and said that it was all her fault that he got in trouble. And he recalled how he got beaten up by Kwangho because Yuri beat him up before, as Kwangho told him that he does not like such a loser, and how he begged him to forgive him while promising him that he will do anything he asks, and how all the other boys saw it. He then pushed her away and said that if it were not for her, such a dark day would not have happened in his life. Yusei yells that it is their fault, and now, like cowards, they have surrounded them and are trying to assault them. Cha Sung-tak tells her to shut up and, while laughing, says that she should take care of herself first and that he is going to distribute those photos everywhere now. Yusei asked him what it meant, and the boys started laughing, saying that she did not even know about it. So Cha Sung-tak said that he would show it to her himself and took out its phone, and as he was going to show it to Yusei, Yuri picked up a metal rock and smacked Cha Sung-tak on his head and told all of them to get lost. At this, the boys started to rush towards her, but she beat them up using the metal rod, and while guarding, the others thought that it was Yusei who was in trouble here, and these bastards surely had a purpose for which they brought them here. She then tells Yusei, Manji, and Habin that they remember seeing the Chongdae market on their way here, and it will not take long for them to reach there. She is going to break through the road, so they all should run for the market. Namgil was admiring Yuri while watching her back. She was a glimmer of hope for them to escape here, and how calm she could be in such a situation while he was unable to think about anything. But then he got hit by reality as Kwangho appeared out of nowhere, telling Cha Sung-tak that he could not even do such a little task. He punched Yuri in the face, telling her to get some sleep, and Yuri fell unconscious. The guys started to beat up Namgil and Habin, and then some of them looked at Yusei while saying that they could not believe that she was the same Yusei they saw on SNS. They said that she looked even prettier at night and they could not stand it, and they all walked towards her while snatching away her coat, and Namji, while lying on the ground, kept yelling no and that they should stop, but then everything darkened. He then woke up in a hospital room 3 months after the incident. In a dark alley, we see Namgil beating up some boys. One of the boys was shouting at others to hold this bastard and get him, but they all got beaten up by him and he was taken back by this development. The boy standing next to him says that he thinks that they have gotten the wrong one this time, while the previous then shouts that he thinks that it is him, the guy who turned Dahyun Dong into a mess. The boys then started telling Namgil that they did not want to fight anymore and offered him money to let them go. But Namgil told them to shut up and told them that not a single one of them was going to get away and started running towards them. He then beat them up while saying that those who have sinned should be punished. He then proceeds to completely beat them up. After that, he stands in the rain and decides that it is time to go back. He contemplates that he cannot find his old self again, and there has been a lot of trouble in a way that he never thought of, and how he decided to put everything right again, but this autumn rain was colder than he thought. As Namgil was taking a shower, he glanced at the surgery scars on his chest and recalled the day he woke up on the hospital bed. As Yusei walked in, he looked at her and asked about what happened to Habin and Yuri, and Yusei teared up. Meanwhile, we see how the events unfolded on the day of the incident. At the shop of Yusei's father as he is giving out fish to one of the regulars at his restaurant. After the customer left, he saw that he had one missed call, which was from his daughter, so he tried calling her back. But the call said that the phone was switched off, so he used the GPS application to track its location and saw the phone at a garbage site, and he immediately panicked at this and started looking for Yusei while calling out her name. Meanwhile, we see the customer walking up the street as she witnessed Cha Sung-tak and others who were walking while smoking, and as she criticized how young boys nowadays are smoking openly in the streets, she sees Yusei with them, and she immediately recognizes her as the daughter of the man who runs the sushi restaurant, and she thinks to herself that she is not the kind of kid to go around with guys like these. Just then Yusei's father arrived there looking for her, and he asked the woman if she had seen his daughter. He told her that she was missing. The woman claims in shock that she completely misread the situation earlier. Yusei's father asks her if she has seen Yusei, and the lady replies that about 5 minutes ago she had seen her going in a spooky alleyway that led to an abandoned construction site with some shady-looking boys who were smoking. She says that they should call the police first. Yusei's father thanked her and ran towards the alley while reporting the situation to the police that his daughter had been missing. There was a witness who saw her being dragged by some boys into an abandoned construction site at Jangchunsang, and there was one other girl with her, and her phone has been switched off. He urges them to come quickly. The boys were beating up Namgil and were going towards Yusei. Her father arrived there and saw her, but Seo Donjin had arrived there before him and had shouted at everyone to stop what they were doing and get out of there immediately, and they all ran away. Yusei was trying to wake up Namgil while shouting for someone to come there and help them, and as she heard her father's voice, she immediately ran to him, asking him to help Namgil and the others. At the hospital, we see the doctor coming out of the operation theater and informing us that the 3 students who were brought here are not in a life-threatening situation, but Namgil is actually in a very dangerous situation. He says that he had been suffering from severe heart failure because of his original heart condition and could not live without taking medicines regularly, and now, after these injuries, it is very dangerous. His mom asks the doctor what is going to happen, who informs her that his heart has stopped functioning and there is no prospect of his condition getting better, and says that as of now there is no alternative but to perform a heart transplant on him before it is too late. Meanwhile, on television, we see the news anchor reporting the news regarding the case of mass assault in Daehyundong, Incheon, where dozens of high school students took 4 students hostage, and one of the victims had testified that the students tried to rape her as well, which was shocking. Nam, one of the victims, is in critical condition and is in urgent need of a heart transplant. The citizens are very angry with violence, which is increasing day by day, and wish that the guilty boys will be punished severely. As Namgil's mom was watching a video on the probability of finding a donor for a heart transplant and crying, she suddenly received a call from the hospital that they had found a donor for her son. The surgery was a success, and to the doctor's surprise, Namgil was discharged in just a month. He was fit, and he was so happy as if nothing had happened. At home, Namgil woke up and decided to go for a run, as he had been just lying on a bed for months and his body felt stiff. To his surprise, he was not getting tired at all, so he kept running. As soon as he comes home, he asks his mom for food, who is surprised after seeing her son completely drenched in sweat. She shouts at him that he had never run 100 meters before, and now it has just been 1 month since his heart surgery, so he should not exercise. He then eats the food to his mom's surprise. His appetite has increased a lot now as compared to before, and he also wonders why this has happened. He then sits down to watch the MMA fight on television, and his mom asks him if he likes martial arts. After the fight that he had been watching finished and the outcome was opposite to what he expected, he tells her mom that he is going to do it as well. He then enters the martial arts dojo, and as soon as he enters it, the smell of sweat reaches his nose. He sees that whether they are men, women, or children, they are all sweating and exercising, and he remarks that the sound when hitting the punching bag is light, and he remarks that now he can do it as well. The trainer asks him if it is his first time learning martial arts. Namgil responds yes, and then the trainer tells him that he will teach him how to guard first and tells him that boxing is one of the basics of martial arts. To guard, he takes up the posture while telling how his backhand covers his chin and his front hand stays a little higher than that. He then says that there are many types of guards. The orthodox is the one in which the left foot is farther than the right foot, and the stance in which the right hand is in front is called southpaw. Namgil tells him that he is right-handed, and the trainer then tells him that he will be more comfortable with orthodox. Namgil takes the posture and throws a jab without the trainer telling him to do it, and he then throws a straight while confirming with the trainer that this is straight, which surprises the trainer, and he asks him to tell him the truth if it is his first time learning martial arts. Namgil tells him yes and says that he has learned a few techniques by himself at home and that he only knows how to jab straight and 1-2. The trainer gives him gloves and tells him to do a 1-2 with him. Namgil swiftly strikes the guard. The coach then gives him headgear and sends him into the ring while telling him to get ready to spar. Namgil asks him how he can spar on his first day. The coach shuts him up, saying that he should stop lying now and that he has been doing martial arts for years so he can easily tell who is a first-timer and who is an experienced guy. He says that Namgil has at least 2 years of experience. Namgil kept saying that it was his first time, but just then, his sparring partner entered the ring as well and told him that he should not worry as he would not hurt him much. Namgil remarked that he looked scary. The bell rings, and the sparring begins. Namgil swiftly dodges the jab thrown at him, which surprises his sparring partner, but the coach tells him that he can punch him freely as this is not his first time, as a first-timer cannot avoid a veteran's punch. He then begins to throw punches at him with more speed, but Namgil keeps avoiding them and guarding himself. The coach then corrects himself that maybe he was wrong earlier and Namgil may have either 3 or 4 years of experience. Namgil remarked that the punches were getting harder and they kept hitting his headgear, and he was unable to guard all of them. Just as the veteran was about to hit him on the chin, the bell rang, and he stopped. Then he applauded Namgil, saying that he had impressed him, as people usually get knocked out before the time limit, but he surprised him. The bystanders were also surprised, and they exclaimed how a high school student lasted a whole round against veteran Lim. At night, Namgil could not sleep as he was feeling annoyed at the fact that he was unable to land a single punch at veteran Lim. Even though he knew that he couldn't defeat Lim, he could have tried to land one hit, but all he did was keep dodging and avoiding, which made him avoid, and he remarks that he cannot lose. Namgil suddenly gets surprised and realizes what he was just thinking. He contemplates that fighting has never been his forte and he does not want to lose, since when he started thinking like this, he also recalls how it was weird that he kept avoiding and how he swung naturally, and moreover, he even managed to counterattack against a veteran. He suddenly takes off his shirt and looks at his chest. Namgil is fighting alongside one friend of his, and they keep defeating the guys and make their way through the staircase after they defeat all of them. Namgil tells his friend that something is definitely wrong, and his friend asks him what they should do now. Namgil announces a change of plans and tells him that he should grab the cub himself and get out of there, to which the guy replies that he will not leave him here alone, and just then a guy in a mask appears in front of them who called them traitors and says that there is no place for them to run anymore, and just then we see Namgil wake up and exclaims what a strange dream it was. He then recalls that these strange dreams started happening the same day when the rapid changes started happening to his body. He then recalls how the contents of the dream change every time little by little and thinks that all of this must be related to this heart of his, and he wonders who is the real owner of this heart. Meanwhile, at school, all sorts of rumors were spreading around regarding the incident, and as Yusei was walking through the hallway, the other students kept talking about how shameless she was to come to school even after all that happened. A girl tells her friend that she is very confident with her face and has fun with boys. Hearing this, Yusei cannot control her anger anymore and shouts at her if she has seen it with her eyes and asks all of them if they have seen what happened to her and her friends. She then tells them to stop believing rumors when they know the truth. She then enters the principal's office and asks him why she has been summoned. Principal Kim tells her it is a shame that a student of his school has gotten into such a situation, but she should understand the school's situation and they had no choice but to give recommendations. He tells her that the school does not want her and her friends to get hurt anymore, so they should transfer schools. Yusei shouts that it is too much, and if they are going to transfer someone, then it shouts be perpetrators. Principal Kim tells her that their trials have not been finished yet and Namgil is fine now anyway. He then tells her that he would be very grateful if she could forgive the school and accept this with an open heart. Yusei got up and left the room. At Namgil's house, we see him reading the letter from the school, after which he tells his mom that he is really unhappy and asks her if she is serious about him transferring to another school. His mom tells him that he can go to school the next year as she is afraid of him getting hurt again. Namgil tells her that it is those bastards who did the wrong thing, so why do he and his friends have to suffer? He then asks her whether the school has sent this transfer notice to Yusei, Haben, and Yuri as well. His mom remained silent and he got his answer. He then told her that he was going out to exercise. As he was walking through the neighborhood, he saw 3 guys bullying a boy, and seeing it, he immediately got reminded of his past, and his anger knew no bounds. He immediately ran towards them and started beating them up. One of the boys shouted at him what he thought he was doing. Namgil shouts at them that they should just die while calling them bastards. As Namgil was beating up one of the boys, the other 2 got up and jumped him from behind. One of them punched him in the face. Namgil remarks that he let his guard down, and just then the other kicked, causing him to fall backward. He immediately forms a guard and exclaims that this is different as compared to a 1v1, as he cannot avoid the attacks coming from 2 people at the same time. The boys yell at him that he should not have gotten involved in their business and hit him. Namgil remarks that guarding is useless and their punches seem different from when he was sparring. He then smiles and tells the boys that it is a shame that their punches are so weak, which surprises the boys, and he hits one of them in the face, saying that this is his KO punch, and knocks him out. The other immediately kicked him in the stomach, causing him to fall, and tried to kick him again while he was still on the ground. This situation reminded him of the time when he got beat up by those boys, so that made him angry. He caught the boy's leg and then threw him on the ground and punched him in the face while shouting that he could not lose to weak guys like them who are trash. After the boys were knocked out, he thanked them, saying that they reminded him of the guys whom he wanted to destroy. The next day, at the martial arts dojo, Namgil asks the trainer if he wants to do fitness training, as he has already realized that he is still not strong enough to defeat guys like Kwangho and his friends. Upon being asked why he wants to do fitness training all of a sudden, he tells him that he just wants to exercise and get better. The trainer applauds him and says that they should get started right away. He makes him do 3 sets of 10 push-ups and then 200 crunches, pull-ups, and side steps, and then has him practice his punches 1,000 times. Namgil gets completely exhausted after doing all this and tells the coach that he feels like he almost died. His coach tells him that he is born with superb senses, but he does not have enough hardness. He says that he should keep trying hard and eventually he will get better sooner or later with consistency. Namgil nods and decides that he will get stronger quickly. Meanwhile, we see Yuri practicing kendo until her finger gets bloody, and then she says to herself that it is still not enough while thinking back to the day when Kwangho knocked her out in a single hit. She determines that she is still too weak, and if the same situation arises again, then she will not be able to get out of it just like last time. She feels sad and realizes that she is too weak to protect even herself. Then how is she going to protect Yusei? Meanwhile, at the school, Kwangho and his gang, Kusfit, came, which surprised all the students as they thought they had all gone to prison. One of them shouted at all the surrounding students, asking what these bastards were looking at, and told them to get the hell out of their way if they did not want to get beaten up. All the students immediately left from there. The return of Kusfit caused great anxiety and fear for everyone. Everyone was suspecting a huge punishment, but the outcome of the trial was entirely different from what they had imagined. Only Cha Sung-tak and his friends who used to bully Namgil and a few others who did not have enough money were sentenced to 1 year in prison. At the trial, Namgil saw Cha Sung-tak firmly believing that he did nothing wrong, and he kept saying that he kept complaining of resentment for forcing him and his friends to commit a crime. And the creator of all this, Kwangho, did not get any punishment. Namgil had a lot of anger towards Cha Sung-tak, but when he saw Kwangho and his parents laughing at the results of the trial, his feelings changed, and he realized that maybe Cha Sung-tak was not entirely lying and he was not the root cause of the problem. Rather, it was Kwangho who orchestrated all this. Namgil started to prepare himself for the fight against Kusfit. He recalls that there are guys like Pyosong who overturned the entire first grade and smashed over a dozen people, and Bumho who nearly defeated Pyosong, and then there is Kwangho who toyed with these two. He realized that for him to become stronger than them, he needed practical experience. And the place he used as his hunting grounds was Daehundong, a place where crimes happen frequently. This has become a holy place for delinquents, and the delinquents from other schools were also gathering here. He walked and stood in between several guys who started mocking him by calling him a pup and asking if he had lost his way. But for Namgil, these guys were nothing more than stepping stones to becoming stronger. and he does not need to be afraid of them. He then beats up all of them. Namgil began to spar in the gym during the day, and then he would go and fight the delinquents in the alleys at night. After a few days, he was finally able to hit instructor Lim, who praised him for it and said that he had come a long way and had gotten stronger. But then he kicked Namgil's headgear and then proceeded to grab him by his leg and throw him on the ring and say that he has still got a long way to go. He kept sparring with instructor Lim in the gym, and outside he would fight the delinquents. A month has passed like this, and now Namgil tells his coach that he is not going to wear his headgear as he wants to receive the coach's punches as they are. And in one punch his nose starts bleeding. Even though he was shaking, he was determined to stand his ground as he had realized that someday sooner or later he was going to meet someone stronger, so he needed to get ready for that day, and for that, he needed to train his body to its limits. Instructor Lim deduces that Namgil is getting better day by day and remarks that his talent is terrifying, but this also makes him excited as he wants to see just how strong Namgil can be, so he decides to start getting serious. After the sparring session, Namgil looked at his face in the mirror and remarked that the helmet really was useful. Autumn had arrived and the weather had become cold now. As Namgil was walking, he heard two boys near him talking about him. One of them was saying that a weirdo is going around in Daeheon these days who is purposely beating up delinquents. He tells his friend that some groups have already said that if they get to know who he is, then they will beat him to death. The guy wears round glasses and has been given the nickname Daeheon Dong Glasses. He tells him that Kim Hee, Jeon-soo, and even Park Joon-ji had been beaten up by him already and says that at this rate, this guy might be able to reduce the bad guys near them. His friend laughed at this and said that if it were him, then he would have easily beaten up this guy just then. Namgil and these two looked at each other. One of the guys immediately asked if he was the same person he was talking about, but his friend responded negatively and said that just the classes are the same. The guy then asks his friend about how Pyo-sung is doing, as he is like a legend here. His friend told him that he went to Daemyeongo and his friend that even Bum-ho also went there, and they started wondering if those two had already fought or not, and if they had, then who would have won. One of them said that he could not imagine Pyo-sung losing with that big size, while the other said that he could not even think of Bum-ho losing as he is an incredible fighter. These names reminded Namgil of Kusfit, and he became interested, so he stood there and tried to listen to more of their talks. One of the guys said that school sure is crazy to have two such amazing students, and to this, his friend replied that not two but three, as Kang Dae-jun has also gone there. Hearing Kang Dae's name shocked his friend, who said if that crazy psycho had also gone there, then that place would soon become a mess. Meanwhile, at the school, Kang Dae beats up several students and remarks that he is disappointed with the school as he thinks that there must be some strong guys, but they are all so weak. Some students looked at it and were shocked to see the Kusfit's members become punching bags, and some were worried about how they would retaliate against this. One of the Kusfit members, while lying on the ground, asked him who he was, to which Kang Dae replied that he was a new transfer student. While sitting on the floor, one of the boys asked Kang Dae if he thought that his pretty face would not get ruined and that he should just wait till the others got here. Kang Dae asked him, "Aren't they the ones who attacked the transfer student first?" And he grabbed him and started spanking him while telling him to shut up and be a good boy. The boy screamed in pain that he had never seen such a psycho before and started to apologize. Just then Kang Dae heard a shout from someone who was telling others to get out of his way, and then he saw that Kwangho arrive there with his friends. He is impressed by Kang Dae by looking at how he defeated these many guys alone and asked him if he was the one who did this. Kang Dae replied mockingly, "What does he think?" Kwangho immediately offered him to join Kusfit after that. Confused, Kang Dae asked him what he thought of himself as the boss of this place. He said that he was expecting a round 2 from them, but he is disappointed with his response. Kwangho tells him that he will let him off the hook for what he did if he joins them. Kang Dae asks him if that is supposed to be a threat and then tells him that even if he makes him kneel and beg, he still would not join them as he is different from them. He ran up to Kwangho while calling him a piece of shit and tried to hit him with a high kick, but Kwangho stood there patiently as Seo Dong blocked his kick and said that he had been running with his luck, but his luck will not save him this time, and it is too late for any regrets. He then throws a straight hook at him, which Kang Dae dodges, and immediately throws a jab in response, which Seo Dong dodges. Kang Dae immediately throws a kick, but it is easily dodged by him. He then says that, perfectly, he is a boxer, and they should do some warm-up together. Showdown started throwing punches at a fast speed at him, and the boys started cheering for him, saying that Kwangho was the only one who could dodge those punches. But to their surprise, Kwangho also dodged them and threw a jab at his opponent, who blocked it. Observing the fight, Kwangho deduces that Kwangho is doing good for now, but at the speed with which Showdown punches, he will not be able to dodge them with reflexes alone. Soon enough, Showdown lands a punch at his stomach and remarks that he is fast and needs to think of something else to counter this speed. So he lets him hit his stomach again and then immediately hits him with an upper kick, which he dodges easily, but just at that moment he hits his chin with his knee. Showdown, while stepping backward, says that this is Muay Thai, and he again tries to avoid what he thinks to be a punch by stepping sideways, which turns out to be an attempt to grab him. Kwangho grabbed his head and said fighting is not all about speed and started hitting his face with a series of punches while saying that no matter what he does, he cannot escape his grasp. He then punched him, knocking him off to the ground, and said that this was enough for a warm-up. He then turned to Kwangho and others and asked who was next, and as the boys were about to rush at him, Kwangho stopped them and said that the world is much bigger than he thinks and he should keep an eye on his opponent. Kwangho looks behind him and sees Showdown standing. He remarks that he thought he had been done in by his strike and tells him that he should just give up as there are limitations to a typical boxer and boxing is weak compared to wrestling and kick defense. He tells Showdown that his boxing is useless against attacks from below, and the match is already over from the moment he hits him, as boxing alone will not be enough to beat him. As he was saying this, Showdown came at him with lightning speed and punched him in the face so hard that he fell to his knees, then asked what the hell he was talking about. Kwangho praises Showdown for the great work. Showdown says that while he is happy about the work being done, he is not very thrilled about getting hit like he got hit, and that he would have sent Kwangho to the hospital if it weren't for the plan Kwangho told him about earlier. We then get to know about the plan that the two had discussed earlier outside. While smoking, Kwangho suggested to get more people for the CrossFit to Showdown, who had though that it was overkill, and that they already have enough people. However, Kwangho suggested that, in order to take over the second years as well, which was his intention, they must gather more people. Byung Suk Tae of Dae Myung High School is known to be incredibly strong, and to get ahead of him, and his group called Nephim, they must work hard. Kwangho suggested that even if they tried to take one member at a time, it will be hard, so they must try to match their numbers in order to fight them. As they have a lot of people from different schools, Showdown is amazed by the greed Kwangho carries, as he learned of his intention to get the second year covered as well. Kwangho asks him if he is opposed to the plan, to which Showdown suggests that he is not, and that if anything, he is very excited about the prospect. Showdown then asks Kwangho how many people are there in the Nephim, to which Kwangho answers that there are about 40 people in there. Showdown is shocked by the number, and asks just how would they gather that many people. Kwangho suggests that they can try various ways, maybe even try and take people from other schools because there shouldn't be any restrictions within CrossFit. Showdown asks him how many people does he intend to get before engaging Byung Suk Tae's Nephim, to which Kwangho suggests that they should at least try and get to 70% of the people that Nephim has. Showdown says that they must need another 10 or so members for that to happen. Either they should get 10 people or they should get one very strong guy that can be the equivalent of said 10 people. That is where it all ties up, as they see Kwangho as someone who can be as strong as 10 people. Sometime later, Kwangho and Kwangho shake hands to officially commemorate their partnership. Kwangho tells Kwangho that he better not make this experience boring after persuading him to join the group so much. Kwangho says that he shouldn't worry about that, as he will get to have tons of fights and will be more than satisfied with what's to come for him in the future. Saying this, Kwangho starts to walk away from there, but Kwangho calls out to him and asks him about how strong he is when compared to someone like Showdown, to which Kwangho smirks and tells him that he will find that out himself in the coming times. Kwangho is upset from the nothing answer and says that Kwangho is a very boring person for that, and he tells him that in the future, he will be the one dragging Kwangho down his throne, so that he can claim the title of king for himself. Kwangho finds this quite funny, and says that he can try his best. Subsequently, Kwangho turns his attention to Showdown, and tells him that the first person he is looking to drag down will definitely be Showdown. He promises to take over his spot, and enact revenge for what he had done to him today. Dong is not as cool-headed as Kwangho, so he tells Dong that he has no chance of doing that, and that he is willing to bet his manhood on that. Dae says that he is looking forward to take Dong's spot and manhood at the same time in that case. As things start to get heated, Go Young-bae, the 7th in charge of the CUSFIT, tells everyone to calm down so that they can go out and have a smoke instead. Just as this is put forward as a plan, both Pyo Sung-joon and Kim Bum-ho go different ways. Go Young-bae is confused by this, and he calls out to Pyo Sung-joon to ask him to join them, but Sun-joon tells him that he wants to sleep now. Young-bae turns his attention to Kim Bum-ho and asks him to do the same thing, but Kim Bum-ho makes it clear that he has quit smoking. Young-bae is a bit taken aback by this, but Yoo Hae-sung, the number 6 of CUSFIT, tells Young-bae to read the room and not escalate this any further. Yoo Hae-sung then thinks to himself about how things are obviously going bad for both Pyo Sung-joon and Kim Bum-ho, as both of them expected to grab the 2nd in charge spot of CUSFIT. However, they have been suddenly pushed back down the line by Dong, who they haven't even fought yet, and who looks to be much stronger. He wonders what will be the repercussions of this sudden development in their group, as Pyo Sung-joon and Kim Bum-ho are both looking pretty evidently pissed about this weird situation as a whole. Next up, Namgil is preparing himself for an outing by dressing up well for the occasion. Namgil's mother sees this, and it makes her happy that her son is being normal like this. She tries to spice things up by teasing Namgi a little, by asking him if he was going to meet someone special today, because he seems to have prepared himself quite well for the occasion. Namgi obviously denies this. However, a blush could be seen flashing across his cheeks, as he feels giddy about the situation. The scene moves forward, as we get to see So-ye standing alone near a stop, when suddenly, Namgi calls out her name. So-ye is overjoyed by this, and she quickly scoots over to Namgi. Seeing him for the first time in a while, she is very happy, but she also asks him why hadn't he contracted her at all during this entire time. Namgi's reasoning for this is that he had a lot of things on his hands, but So-ye feels like he should have still called her. Regardless of that, So-ye is pleasantly surprised to see the physical transformation of Namgi, saying that he must have already grown last 180 centimeters by now. Just then, a loud voice is heard, and it is none other than Yuri, who comes running towards So-ye and gives her a big OL hug. Yuri further goes on to kiss her on the cheeks, while Namgi adding that Yuri hasn't changed a bit. So-ye holds Yuri's hands and feels that it had gotten a lot rougher than before. Yuri takes her hand away and says that it is nothing important, but So-ye offers to give her some lotion, which Yuri politely rejects. Yuri then changes the topic quickly, as she turns her attention to Namgi as she goes over to him. Yuri teases her a bit and feels up his newly gained muscle mass. Yuri is shocked by this and asks Namgil if he has been putting the work in the gym for him to have achieved such noticeable jaws. She also calls for So-ye to come forward and check out his new muscles, because they're incredible. Right at that moment, their other friend, Habin, shows up and says hi to everyone. Everyone accepts him right away to the family. The 4 of them go to a cafe and start enjoying their day. It felt like nothing had happened, and the 4 of them were just back to being normal again. So-ye explains her happiness to have met everyone, stating that it felt incredible to her, to Yuri's agreement. Habin is curious about Namgil, so he asks him how he was doing all this time. Namgi is a bit uncomfortable, but he answers that he has been doing his thing lately. He also decides that it is the correct time to tell his friends about the plan he has cooked up. He tells his plan to move away next year, and before that, he wants to take revenge for what the CUSFIT did to them. Everyone is shocked by this, as they don't think this is something they should go for. Yuri says that while he might have gained some muscles, he will still be of no match to CUSFIT. However, Namgi has his priorities set straight. He says that he must get things straight before he leaves. Habin doesn't support this, but he states that even if Namgi manages to somehow take revenge on the CUSFIT, he needs to know that the school is a different place than what it was, and that they will not change so quickly because they aren't even the root of the problem. We go to the school, where the CUSFITs, led by Kwangho, enters the classroom of the second years to confront Byung-suk-tae and his Nephim. The members of the Nephim are quite offended by this, and they ask how dare a mere group of first-year students enter their ground. Kwangho politely introduces himself as Kwangho Kwang and apologizes to the second years beforehand, as he goes on to announce that from now onwards, the CUSFITs are going to own the entire school. This statement gains reactions from the members of Nephim, as some are pissed, some find it quite cute and funny, while others are just weirded out by this. However, Byung-suk-tae takes this very normally, as he tells Kwangho that there is no point in joking around here, so if they really want to fight, they should step up and get more people on their side. However, Kwangho is straight to the point. He lays out the challenge for the Nephim, as he tells them to show up at 12 a.m. in the night, near the parking lot that is next to the civilian park. He tells them that the Kusfit will be waiting for their arrival. Byung-suk-tae is quite literally stunned by the bluntness, and asks if Kwangho has gone mad all of a sudden, because can they even handle the Nephim? However, the Nephim members are much more direct, as they prepare right then to teach the kids a lesson. As they go forward, Byung-suk-tae orders them to stop, saying that they should let them go for now, as such exciting prospects don't show up so often. He tells his members to just follow the terms as asked by the Kusfits, and meet them at the part after 12 a.m. He adds that they will do this to check just how strong their underclassmen are. The Kusfits walks away from the room after this. Following that, the Kusfit are having a meeting at the rooftop, where Kangdae asks why do they have to wait for the night to attack? Couldn't they have just beaten the crap out of them then and there? Kwangho replies to this by saying that if they had fought at the school again, they'd be put behind the bars again. However, he agrees that there is no reason for them to wait until the night, saying that they will be the ones striking first in this battle. A meeting is also being held by the Nephim, and they have the exact same idea as well. They state that they can't be waiting until the night to attack those kids. They should attack them before they realize it, and teach them a lesson on how to behave with upperclassmen. Meanwhile, the Kusfits are planning out their strategy in detail. Kwangho states that he wants himself, Seon Dong-jin and Pyo Sung-joon to be the ones to team up and start the attack. Meanwhile, Kim Bum-ho, Kangdae, and Yoo Hae-sung can follow up on that with the rest of the group. As this is going on, Byung-suk-tae tells the Nephim to pick any 3 random guys from the normal group to go and keep an eye on the first years and their activities. He tells Lee Jun to take the 30 remaining guys and go to the parking lot to settle the pacing, while he orders the top 3, who are immediately under his rank, to come with him, as they get ready to destroy the Kusfit. However, oblivious to this, Kwangho and the Kusfit are quite pleased with their setup. This was the case until Go Young-bae shows up and tells Kwangho that he can't contact Pyo Sung-joon and Seon Deong no matter how much he tries. Kwang realizes just how much of a pickle they are in now, as they are without some of the strongest assets they had to offer, and with very little time. Just then, a fight is shown taking place between another member and Seon Dong-jin, who both get bloodied and knocked down after an exhausting fight. Seon Dong notes that this is very bad for them, because they can't win this fight. He says that the longer it goes on for, the tougher it would be for the Kusfit to survive, which is why they must need to go for a full burst. A mini flashback is shown, an hour before the current situation, where Kwang tells everyone that there is 30 minutes left for them, until they go and charge the second years at their dage. Kim Bum-ho was still there, so he was given the order to go and gather everyone. Meanwhile, Pyo Sung-joon, who was also present, and Seon Dong-jin were told that they have to be with the Kwangho. Kwangho states that they need to be careful because when it comes to fighters, the rumors about them being good at this fighting game spreads quickly, which makes it easier to track them and study them. It is stated that Byung-suk-tae is a very strong individual himself. However, despite that, there isn't anyone out who saw Byung-suk-tae fight, which is why he is going to be extremely hard to deal with when the war eventually begins. However, Kwangho finds it rather strange that despite having over 40 people in his group and taking over 2 different schools, no one has witnessed Suk-tae in an actual fight. He decides that it means Suk-tae doesn't indulge in these big-scale fights. Instead, he opts to order his underlings around, and once they are done, he gets the final hit in. Kwangho suggests that they can use this bit of information to their advantage. He says that Suk-tae is going to be using the same tactic he always uses. If they attack them first, it will be a bad situation for Kusfit, as they will have to go head first into the much stronger and bigger. However, if they send 20 of their regular guys to fight the seniors, they will create a good distraction. They will then take advantage of this distraction by creeping up behind Byung-suk-tae and attacking him. Kwangho suggests that he, Pyo Sung-joon and Seon Dong-jin should do this. They will fight off the people coming their way to protect Byung-suk-tae before taking out the big dog by themselves. And once they are done taking care of their leader, their morale would go down significantly. This will allow Cusfit to pick them apart and win this with ease. Seondong likes the role that he has gotten, saying that he will thrive in such a role. Afterward, he suggests that he needs to go out and take a smoke to calm down the nerves. Pyo Sung-joon notices this and asks to take a stroll outside himself. Now back to the current time, Kwangho regrets letting those two go, especially considering how integral they were to the plan. Besides that, those guys are a big part of the group. He wonders just what had happened for them to suddenly disappear before their first fight with Nephim. A thought that they were attacked by the Nephim crossed his mind. Meanwhile, Byun Suk-tae calls one of his hidden spies to check up on the situation of Cusfit. The guy reports that the group has gathered on a rooftop to discuss about various plans. He states that this seems to be their regular meet-up place anyway. Suk-tae asked him how many of them had gathered there. The guy replies that about 15 of them have gathered, which is not a problem. The 20 people from Nephim who are going to go at them are easily going to beat them. At the rooftop, Kwangho was asking his underlings if they had seen Pyo Sung-joon and Seodong since they left. All of them are a bit clueless about this. But Yoo Hae-sung speaks up, saying that he had seen them go to the parking lot not long ago. This leaves Kwangho perplexed, as he wonders how they knew that they were going to the parking lot. Yoo Hae-sung clears it up by saying that they didn't go to the parking lot he thinks they went to. Instead, they went to the school parking lot. This immediately shocks Kwangho. On the other hand, Suk-tae makes a call to another spy who was tracking Seodong. He asks him about what is happening with Seodong, to which the guy replies that he went inside the parking lot with the giant who was fighting the other day. And to his surprise, the two started fighting between themselves. We get to see the fight taking place between Seodong and Pyo Sung-joon. The fight is fast-paced and hard-hitting. It is based on Pyo Sung using his raw strength, while Seodong uses his skills to dodge and land quick counter-punches. Both guys have immaculate stamina, which is why, even though both of them land huge shots on one another, it's simply not enough to knock them out. At one point, Pyo Sung tries to land a hard right hook on Seodong. Seodong manages to bob out of the way before hitting Pyo Sung with an atomic uppercut. This sends Pyo Sung a few steps back, but he retaliates quickly. Pyo Sung flies in, despite his huge body, with a kick. It lands and sends Seodong flying back down to the ground, while Pyo Sung also falls. Both guys are hurt and at their limits. Seodong wonders what had happened to Pyo Sung. He isn't the same guy who was almost defeated by Kim Bum-ho. He now seems like a totally different entity, much strong, much more skilled. Seodong tries to call a truce, as they have a fight to do. He states that they can do it later, but now they need to focus on the bigger goal. He says that if they continue fighting between each other, the Cusfits will lose to Nephim, and they'll lose embarrassingly. Pyo Sung replies that he simply doesn't care about it. He jumps in with another hook, but as Seodong dodges, he gets him in the clinch. Pyo Sung says he already knows Seodong's weakness, and he will exploit it. He starts ramming in knees to Seodong's body, and while Seodong tries to block, the knees just pierce through the block. Seodong understands that it is useless to block against such an attack. Pyo Sung, while going full Muay Thai on Seodong, adds that he doesn't care about the delinquent business. The only thing that holds substance to him is the argument of who is stronger. He then leaves the clinch and hits a massive punch to Seodong, knocking him down. Pyo Sung says that he will beat up Kwangho next. That will once and for all prove to everyone that he is the strongest. Saying this, Pyo Sung goes for the final blow to finish off Seodong, while Seodong also tries to muster up strength to make a comeback of his own. Both of them are too careless to block, which is why both of them land their blows simultaneously. They both get shaken up by the long fight that is going on. Pyo Sung-jin wonders how Seodong is still standing. He compares the experience of fighting Seodong to something like fighting a zombie. He keeps getting back up. Even though it feels like that he is one punch away from winning, it isn't working out. So he strengthens his resolve, vowing to land the one big shot to finish it off. Meanwhile, Seodong wonders just how strong and resilient Pyo Sung is. He can't really keep up with his strength, and his defense, it feels like a concrete wall. He wonders how he can win this fight and comes to the conclusion that he needs to land a few hundred quick punches. That way, he will be able to finish off the fight and make sure that they don't spend any longer in it than what they need to. he decides to make it short from here on to minimize the damage they take. The fight resumes and turns into a battle of stamina and composure. Pyo-sung goes for the big punch right away, but Seo-dong swiftly dodges and hits a counterpunch of his own. This shakes up Pyo-sung and allows Seo-dong to start his rapid-fire non-stop combos. The combo is too quick, and it starts hitting Pyo-sung. He tries his best to block against it, but the quantity and speed of the blow makes it very hard for him. Seo-dong keeps punching without stopping at all. After a few hundred punches, suddenly it felt like the concrete wall was cracking up. Pyo-sung shows signs of grogginess as he goes down to his knees. Seo-dong starts hitting faster than ever to finish it, but Pyo-sung has other ideas. Pyo-sung knows he can't lose, and he knows that it's not always about who lands the most hits. Pyo-sung retaliates back with a powerful punch to Seo-dong, which creates separation. Pyo-sung wants to finish it off with one big move instead of many quick ones like Seo-dong. Pyo-sung charges right towards Seo-dong. Seo-dong realizes that Pyo-sung is about to attempt a takedown slam on him, just like how he did against Bum-ho, which is why Seo-dong pushes his upper body forward, leaning on his front foot to block the takedown. As Pyo-sung tries it, he feels that something is wrong, and Seo-dong calls him out for his lack of wits. Seo-dong says that Pyo-sung must have thought he can't block a takedown just because he boxes. He states that while he has never officially trained to wrestle, he does know enough. He is also aware of how wrestlers often feel invincible while going for takedown, leaving their neck open, which is why Seo-dong locks in an informal guillotine choke on Pyo-sung. Back to Nephim's meeting, Byun-suk-tae realizes that they have Kusfit's number. He feels that now is the perfect chance to attack them, when the main squad is busy strategizing for something else, and two of the strongest are in fighting. He feels this will be a fun and easy fight. He orders his guys to change the plan. He tells Lee Jin to go to the construction site roof with 30 other guys to beat up the main squad, while the three immediately under him, and 10 more guys will go to the school parking lot to take out those other two. Subsequently, Kwangho receives the news of Nephim making the first move. He tells everyone that they've attacked the school gym parking lot. Just as they're about to head that way, Lee Jin, the number 5 of Nephim, arrives. He tells them to wait and brings out the 30 other guys that came with him. They surround Kusfit from all sides. Kwangho notices that about 30 guys are here, and Byun-suk-tae is not included, which is why he believes that this is a good opportunity for them, as they have strong guys like Kim Bum-ho and Kang Dae-jun here, which means they don't need more people. He then tells Kang Dae-jun that he wants him and the rest of the squad to fight here, while he goes and fights Byun-suk-tae. Kang Dae finds the leader versus leader aspect to be quite cool, and he assures Kwangho that he will take care of this place. A fight quickly breaks out, which sees Kusfit dominating. Kang Dae puts on a clinic with his wild style, throwing haymakers and spinning kicks. Kwangho also fights on his way out, beating up people with his accurate punches and knees. All the other guys are also doing quite well. As the line clears up for Kwangho to leave, Kang Dae tells him to go, and says that he will follow him after he is done here. Kwangho tells him that there is no need, as he will be done before them. This ignites some healthy competition, as Kang Dae says that he would love to have a race. Meanwhile, back at the school gym parking lot, Seo-dong still has the guillotine locked in. He prays for Pyo-sung to stay down and not fight and just pass out. However, Pyo-sung picks him up like a kid from the lock. Seo-dong understands that he had miscalculated all of this. Pyo-sung asks Seo-dong if he really thought that he can hold down someone like him with his light body. Seo-dong notices something and tells him to wait a bit. However, Pyo-sung makes fun of him. He asks him if he is begging now because he knows that the end is imminent. Seo-dong shuts him down, telling him that he should look behind. Pyo-sung lets go of Seo-dong, and as he turns around, he sees 10 or so members of the Nephim. Leading them was the leader, Byun-suk-tae. The Nephim wasted no time in going after the two. A particular group targets Seo-dong first, as he looked tired and was bleeding a lot. However, they are met with some thunderous punches by Seo-dong, knocking them out. Seo-dong makes it clear that he might look like he is tired, but he is anything but. He claims to be as good as new, and he proves that statement by knocking out all oncoming Nephim members. Ji Sung-hoon and On Ha-jun, the number 4 and number 3 of Nephim respectively, watch the fight with interest, They talk about how Seodong-jin is not bad at all for a guy who is this beat up. However, they feel like there is nothing special about him. The duo then approach Seodong and attack him in tandem. They attack him right away, throwing a quick combo of punches at Seodong. Seodong easily manages to dodge them because this is his style of fighting. The duo quickly realize that this isn't working, so they switch over to a kicking style. Ha-jun executes a jumping spinning hook kick, which Seodong barely moves out of the way from. But he gets hit by a hard kick to the leg by Ji Sung-hoon. They are happy to pull off the team move. The leg kick leaves Seodong a bit unbalanced, but rage moves him forward. Seodong throws a quick right towards Ha-jun, but he ends up hitting one of his underlings. Ha-jun had used one of his underlings as a human shield. The duo talk about how real fighters use anything they have near them as an object to fight, and how they, as a group, believe in the art of teamwork. Saying this, the duo goes for their next team move. Ha-jun goes for a roundhouse kick to the abdomen. Seodong blocks this but feels the impact. However, this leaves his head open, and Sung-hoon capitalizes on it by hitting a head kick that knocks him back a few meters. The duo then order the rest of the squad to put on a stomping show on Seodong. As the squad are about to do so, Pyo-sung knocks one of them out. He says that he won't let them do it. He goes on about how he never invited them to fight here, and if they have any wish to live, they should leave the scene immediately. Ha-jun and Ji Sung-hoon finds this hilarious and wonders why the first years are so disrespectful towards their seniors. The two of them, alongside 3 other Nephim guys, surrounds Pyo-sung-jin and tells him to read the room before trying to act like a hero.